Hello, my lovely Capricorn. I hope you're doing well. I go by Venusian Vibes, and I'm here to give you your October love and spirituality reading. So I've already shuffled the deck quite a bit. I'm just going to shuffle a little bit more, get everything into place, and then we will get your spread going for October. And if you don't want to watch me shuffle, you can go ahead and fast forward. I completely understand. I just like to shuffle a little bit on screen. Seven of Cups. Okay. All right, I'm going to get your spread going now. Okay. Looks like a lot of intense things going on for you guys in October. Very interesting. I'm going to read a little bit into your past, what could be going on right now as I give this reading or prior to this, just to see what's been going on with you guys. The Sun in the reverse. Seven of Pentacles in the reverse. Five of Pentacles in the reverse. Knight of Swords in the reverse. 10 of Swords in the reverse. Okay. So you guys have been going through some intense trials. So it looks like recently some of you guys might have been involved with an air sign person, Aquarius, Libra, Gemini, and it just doesn't, it seems like it didn't work out with them. An ending has occurred probably in the last, I want to say 6 months. An ending has occurred for you guys. And about in the last 6 months, and for a long time you were feeling the loss pretty heavily. This person didn't come in and makes this communication. I guess there was a lack of communication there, a lack of direct energy. This person was indirect. They weren't stable, and they might have even been a little bit cruel at times, a little bit jarring. Like, I think that you guys had the best intentions, but you were kind of being treated a little bit in a, I don't know if it's to the extent of cruelty, but just someone who's very, they say exactly what's on their mind, and it can be a little bit belittling, and it can even be hurtful, just like how almost emotion, not a lot of emotion this person had. So if that describes the person you were dealing with, you'll know. But it looks like there was also a lack of communication. I think when you tried to communicate, it just didn't work. They weren't willing to have those necessary conversations. Yeah, there was an imbalance of give and take. I think you guys once again had the best intentions, and I think you just ended up sort of with being involved with someone who who wasn't a very healing presence or a very kind presence for you guys. And then it didn't, it seems like you lost that person, and that loss, you were really feeling that loss for a while. Though I'm seeing that, and for some of you, you were with them for a decent amount of time. It was something you would really put a lot of effort into. So that's what made the loss of this person especially challenging for you, because of you were thinking about all the time you spent and wasted trying to make something work. But I think recently you've actually been coming out of sort of those feelings of loss and disappointment. Because these are in the reverse, so to me that indicates that you were feeling that way, but you're starting to come out of it. At least maybe not. Well, I'll have to get into the October spread. It seems pretty intense from my initial view of it. And then the sun in the reverse. So that's very interesting. It's not a great, it's not a great energy when the sun's in the reverse. I had another sign get this, and I'm almost reading the same energy for you guys. And it's something about you're out of alignment. Usually a Capricorn person is very independent, and they almost, in a lot of cases, prefer to go at things alone and to accomplish things on their own. But I think that for a lot of you guys, you're a little bit out of alignment with that type of cardinal energy, and you've been feeling a bit more, I wouldn't say to the extent of codependency, but for some reason having lost some sort of anchor that you felt that you had, or you lost a connect, maybe just as simple as losing a connection that you felt a strong bond with this person, and breaking those chains was very difficult for you. And so now, as an independent person on your own, I'm getting that there's like a struggle with that, and a bit of a feeling of, almost despair. That's a pretty dramatic word to use, but maybe at times, not necessarily have been consistently in this state of despair, but that feeling can creep up on people every once in a while, and it might not even last for very long, but it just comes in, and you're suddenly experiencing it, and then it kind of passes after a day, or even a few hours. So I'm sensing that with you, where you just have had this achiness that comes in, and then it goes away, but it comes back, and so it's just kind of a lack of stability in emotion, in having a strong sense of self, but a strong confidence of going about your day, and feeling that sense of abundance where everything is going to work out. You might be sometimes missing that feeling. So that's what I'm getting from that. Let's see what is going on for you guys in October. There's so much here that I almost want to clarify more than I typically do 2 clarifications, but there's so much going on here with you guys. It's so much intense energy, and so I'll get started with this Ace of Swords here. So this is in the placement of your consciousness, and we have the Ace of Swords in the reverse. So there is some sort of belief system or way of thinking that you are kind of holding on to, and that you've been holding on to for a while, and it's not something that is for your highest good or for any good at all. It is something that is causing self-destruction to occur. So this is about a release that needs to happen, a shift in thinking, and it seems like your consciousness, you I think you can feel your resistance to, I think you know that there's like a destructive thought process happening. You know that you know, you can feel it when it's happening, or know when it's happening. I certainly have had that myself with these thoughts that are not helpful or beneficial, but I have them because there's just a part of me that has that perspective, and so when I'm thinking those things, I know that it's not for my highest good. It doesn't benefit me, but it still happens. So I think a lot of people have that, but for you guys, it looks like there's something. It's getting to a point that it's showing up in your reading in the very center of your own psyche, and so it's definitely hitting that point where change needs to happen. And so it's hitting that level of it's been accelerating, then you're going to be hitting that level where, okay, it is really time to make this shift, because it is just becoming so painful to sort of have these racing thoughts that are damaging. But we have to approach when you can definitely accomplish this shift, this paradigm shift, which down here we have the Tower. I'll talk about that in a second, but that is also representing a resistance to a paradigm shift that needs to occur for you guys. And what's going to happen in October, we have a full moon on Halloween, the time when the veil between spirit and the material plane is at its thinnest. And then we have this beautiful full moon coming in on the same night. And it's going to trigger a lot of people to make some very strong changes. And it's going to wash away a lot of resistance. Whatever resistance people have been having is kind of going to lift that and allow some new energy to come in. So it's going to happen for you, just given the time. But it'll be good to prepare for it, so it's less of a shock, and it's less of a difficult, because the universe will make something happen sometimes if a person's been resisting it for so long, but the universe will make it happen in a way that's not so pretty or fun. You know, it could end up being, I'm not saying this for you, but it can be something like a car accident or an injury. It's a more jarring event. It doesn't have to be one like that where it's causing physical harm. It could be a breakup, which I think for a lot of you guys you've already had recently, but just something like that it's an event that's unpleasant. And please don't get attached to my examples of a physical injury. I hope I didn't freak you out with that. It's just I'm just trying to explain how it can be a little unpleasant if the universe decides to really make something happen we've been in resistance to. Okay, so sitting below the Ace of Swords is your unconscious, and is Temperance in the reverse. But I don't feel like talking about that just yet. I want to talk about this Two of Wands, and I'm actually going to get a clarifier for that right now, which I usually don't do, but I really think there's a message here that just these 6 cards alone, I'm just feeling I need one more. Okay, so we got the Four of Swords in the reverse here for you guys. And a few other signs have gotten this card too in the reverse. So this is and it's not surprising going into fall, where having a feeling a need to like sink in and be less extroverted and involved, and to just kind of be cuddle, like a curl up and go more internal, and have more of an internal focus. I'm thinking you guys have Princess of Wands. So I'm just looking at these cards here. Before I speak again, I want to make sure I'm getting this message correctly. Okay. So here we have the Two of Wands and the Ten of Wands. Okay. Lord of Dominion, Lord of Oppression. And you can see all that fire there. And we have the goats. This is, and this is making me, the horns are making me think of your sign, the goat. So this is definitely your energy. I think that there is a huge need to be in control. And it is usually a very positive thing. And it might even be, it's something that, I'll say it's something that makes you feel in balance, and it makes you feel in control and powerful when you are grabbing everything, taking your life by the horns, and you're getting things done. And a lot of you probably might work a high pressure job, but you enjoy doing it, and you enjoy just the success of getting something done. But I think a lot of you guys have been overworking, and it's becoming very burdensome. And some of you may have been overworking, as like throwing yourself into work after this, what's been going on with this person from the past. And it's causing a strong burden for you. It's getting to the point, so it'll be kind of getting to the point where it's just like, it's too much to continue to work and operate at the level that you are. The amount of work you're having to do and the amount of responsibilities you have is kind of a little bit crushing, getting to a crushing point. And with the Four of Swords in reverse, that's someone who needs to take time to rest and rejuvenate. But being in the reverse, I'm getting for you in this case that you're not doing that, and there's so much self-care and relaxation that you really need to replenish your energy, and you don't seem to be doing it. I think it makes you feel weak or guilty. I think that this energy here that you can see so well with the imagery of the hand grabbing these wands and all the fire, and you're just burning yourself to, or what's that phrase where it's like you're burning it to the wick or something like that. You're basically taking it as far as you can in terms of everything you're trying to accomplish. So I think when you're spending so much time and energy taking care of business, so to speak, you have very little time to have these sort of internal dialogues, these honestly integration work where like you have feelings coming up and give them space to express and all that kind of stuff, that spiritual work type of thing. Not You're just not having the time for it, the time or energy for it, because you're so busy doing these other things. And so the burdens we see here with the Ten of Wands are not only from all of the work that you're doing and all the responsibilities that you have in a day, which is probably too many. Somehow you're going to have to delegate or make a list of what's the most important, and then kind of drop the other things that don't make it in the top 5. But really, it's also the burden of having all of these different feelings and points of perspective, like as we all have within us many different points of perspective and many different feelings, and a lot of times they'll conflict. And so there's a suppression of a lot of that, because in your mind, having those type of feelings that are going to inhibit your productivity. So those have been kind of suppressed, and they're becoming so much of a burden on more of an unconscious level that these wands represent not only your responsibilities, but also your internal workings, your feelings that are unable to be expressed. And what's going on in your subconscious is, I'm going to put this to the side for now. Okay. So we have the Temperance in the reverse for your unconscious. Daughter of the Reconcilers. The Temperance card is a beautiful card. She is pouring these two different, she's the divine alchemist. She's pouring these different substances into a pot or a vat and creating something entirely new. As it sits in your subconscious, I'm really picking up this need once again for some internal work. There is a part of you, and this is about integration, spiritual work, so I hope it's not too hokey for you guys, but it's something that I believe is extremely important to do. But it's about integrating all of those parts of ourselves that are that have been suppressed. And like, so for you might be experiencing in your conscious mind this side, this super lightning, fiery, getting it done type of energy, and you're pushing away this watery, emotive part of yourself so that you can get so it doesn't get in the way of what you feel like you're trying to accomplish, right? So and that's what we're seeing, because it's in the reverse. So you haven't been in October. It looks like you're still going to be struggling with being the divine alchemist for yourself and bringing in that emotive energy, the sadness, and all those feelings that are going to, in your mind, hinder your ability to accomplish. And your resistance to that is going to be surmounting quite a bit. And it's really what is going to be, once again, that kind of driving force for you. And going back to the sun, where I was seeing this lack of independence. And I think that was true for a select few of you guys who had that breakup with that air style person. And But there's also a dual meaning here. And I'm seeing this now. I'm seeing this more as these two parts of yourself that need to reconvene, and you need to integrate that emotional side of yourself. And there's probably that side of yourself that honestly doesn't want to get up in the morning and do everything that you have been doing, and it wants to stay in bed all day and eat ice cream and cry. But you've been resisting that. And for those of you who've had that breakup, so some of you might have been in, like I said, that kind of codependent type of connection, and I think that's only because of that. And this is a little bit complicated, but it's only because of that resistance to that own part of yourself that sometimes we, instead of recognizing certain parts within ourselves, we find that in someone else, or we attach to someone else, and we somehow get what we can't from our own selves in another person. And I think all that person, for a lot of you, all that person served to do was the opposite of what you had wanted. I think you wanted some sort of emotional, like, softness and intimacy, but you kind of, since you don't have that with yourself, you ended up getting the opposite with that person, if that makes sense. Because searching for that softness in someone else, and those emotions where you can feel emotionally safe, and maybe you deep down wanted someone who was going to feel like a rock to you, so that you could start to express those parts of yourself that are, as you might perceive them to be, like, less strong. But it ended up being quite the opposite, where they weren't there for you so that you could do that. And they might have even made that part of you feel even more vulnerable and weak when they weren't supportive. So I'm getting that for you guys as well. A lot of messages there in that little sun card, but they're all interconnected, and it all comes together to create one picture. A very complicated picture. So we really want to turn these energies back upright, both the Ace of Swords and Temperance. And that's going to be the primary struggle for you guys as well, especially with the Tower here in the reverse. You want if the Tower is going to be present in a spread, you really want it being upright. Lord of the hosts of the mighty. Very interesting. Well, because when the Tower is upright, it might be a huge, shocking thing that comes in, and suddenly you have a huge paradigm shift, and you see things differently. And it's jarring, but at least it happened, and now you can move forward. But when it's in the reverse, you're having such a strong resistance to any type of shift and change, that even as the universe tries to bring it in, and the stars align in a way to make this happen for you, you're still so resistant to it that it just ends up that maybe something does happen that's kind of jarring, but you end up not taking anything away from it, like not learning anything, or having that shift that is meant to cause. And then there's back to the resistance of resting and rejuvenating, and just sitting back and thinking, feeling, all those things. There's just a lot of resistant energy here in October with you guys. And definitely a burnout looks like it's on the horizon for y'all. So then we have this Princess of Wands. And you know, I don't think it's you. It could be. So I'm going to pull my other clarifier for this princess to see what's going on with her. Interesting. That was too many cards, but we'll see if one of them comes out again. Please, just one card. Tell me about this Princess of Wands energy. Oh, interesting. The Ten of Wands again. So that's the same card as we have here. Those in the upright this time. So there's definitely this Ten of Wands is being heavily associated with the Ten of Wands energy. So I think it actually is your guys' energy here. I think you're coming through as the Princess of Wands. There's a lot of fire energy in your spread. And coming through as the Princess of Wands in the reverse. And once again, we have the goat here. Yeah. So that's you guys. And I think that this is representing the burnout that I've been talking about. There is, when this energy of the Princess of Wands is, what I'm getting from it in this case is a very kind of erratic energy and a lot of anger and frustration. So that's what I'm feeling from this Princess of Wands. I think she wants to be so you want to be able to take on the world and get it all done, and you want to be successful, and you are proud of your accomplishments, and you want to keep that drive going. And you are good at doing that, but when you take it too far, I mean, this is really what I've just been saying. When you take it too far and you're resisting so other aspects of your life and other needs that you have, then you start to, I think you're gonna start to develop certain level of anger, frustration, irritation. I think you're gonna start becoming very irritable in October, and very impatient. You're gonna find yourself snapping at people. Might even find yourself feeling a little bit more isolated, as people might want to keep their distance from you. I mean that, and I'm not trying to be rude or anything. I'm just saying, I mean, this is all, everybody goes through cycles and we all have our moods, so there's no judgment here. It's just, if you do start noticing your behavior kind of being like that, you can now identify that with the strain that you're under and recognize it for what it is, which is that you're being pushed to your limit, and it's time to really, really relax. It's time to allow your other needs that you have to allow yourself to have those other needs, and actually give yourself space to experience things that are more relaxing, you need rest. Your mind needs rest. I think your mind is running a mile a minute. So that's kind of just what I'm seeing here. I don't know how, for some of you, how much it is involved with a recent breakup. And I'm guessing your personalities is already kind of like that, where very driven, you know, that is like a Capricorn, to be very driven. So you might already have been like that. But after this kind of breakup, or separation you have with this person, maybe that has intensified for you, and you've repressed any mourning and sadness over it, and you're just focused on your life, accomplishments, and so what you were maybe meant to learn from that separation and from that relationship, a little bit, and I went into a little bit what might have been a good lesson for some of you, which I saw in the cards, but you've been resisting kind of learning that through this breakup. And the only thing, in my mind, like one of the only good things a separation is for learning and spiritual development. We learn so much through these connections that don't work out, and so that's going to be something very important for you to start diving into. And I really hope that this message has kind of helped with your inclination to do so, because it'll be, I think, a much smoother ride. And if you do that, and the longer you put it off, I think, is all those feelings. I mean, this can also be feelings from the Sun in reverse. There's just such a resistance to your own truth. And so it's that part of you that's disconnected. And so when you're disconnected from a part of you, maybe because you think it's weak, or you just you don't want to experience those feelings. When you disconnect from a part of yourself, you're disconnecting from your own truth. And for me, the Sun represents your own truth here. And it could be about, for a lot of you, it's about that connection you had and lost, but it can also be about many connections you've lost in your life. It can be about things going all the way back to childhood, all that's been repressed. With all these cards I'm seeing here, there's so much going on that has happened to you. Turmoil and stresses and negative events that have impacted you, that you've never actually dealt with. You've always coped with them by focusing on something else. So there's so much coming to the surface here, but that it looks like you're so resistant to. I'm almost concerned you're going to end up, at least in October, not actually having that breakthrough. So I'm going to pull one more card for you guys, and it's from the Dreams of Gaia Tarot. It's a very beautiful deck, and I'm going to read to you the message. And it usually comes through as advice. Okay. You got wisdom. You can see this person going deep into the unknown with their little lantern. You even have that little horn up there to represent the Capricorn. So I'll read to you what this means, but you can see visually sort of the energy that Spirit wants you to take on. And it's going deep within. And you see that this kind of an empty space there. There's not a lot going on in there, because a to-do list is nothing but a distraction for your spiritual growth right now. The correct landscape for you is very bare, giving you space to to learn more about yourself. All right, so I'm going to read this. Okay, wisdom. The second of the 8 primary reasons for being is to acquire wisdom. While a person can, well, and also the Ace of Swords is reminiscent of the idea of wisdom. So that energy is coming through for you. Is to acquire wisdom. While a person can have great knowledge, if they have no understanding, that knowledge will not make them wise. An individual may possess a great capability to retain facts and information, but lack the ability to truly process what they've learned. Some say wisdom cannot be learned from a book. It is something that is learned through experience. True wisdom is born of understanding our experiences. Wisdom stems from learning from one's successes and mistakes, one's trials and adventures, one's gains and losses. Wisdom is born of awareness and discernment that allows you to judge the best course of action. In most situations, wisdom is the application of knowledge, logic, and common sense. Wisdom is the synthesis of external information acquired via personal experience and learning. It comes from using logic, emotion, and intuition to analyze and understand, to discern the truth, to grow in awareness, and then use that knowledge to find our place and purpose within the universe and to live a good and productive life. Okay, so I feel like that really encompassed what we've been going over in this reading. So we attain wisdom by using logic, emotion, and intuition. And I think so far you guys have been stuck in the logic aspect of things. And the Ace of Swords that we have in your consciousness is what should happen. And I also in this deck connect the Ace of Swords to the High Priestess, who is all about intuition and inner wisdom and even emotions. So there is a resistance to those other aspects of ways of knowing, and it's time to explore those more for you guys. Okay, so in October, please try to explore those other ways of knowing and of seeing the world. There's definitely a huge paradigm shift coming in for you if you can let go of that resistance and give yourself some time to allow that energy to kind of develop within you. You're probably a little bit afraid of it because a lot of sadness and anxiety and feelings you don't want to have might come up, but it's in the end you're going to be okay. When these feelings come up, if they're acknowledged, they just come up and they release, so it will be painful for a minute, but then they'll just release and you'll feel much better afterwards, and you'll feel like a more complete version of yourself. Okay, Capricorn, so I hope you enjoyed this reading. I hope it resonated with you. If you did enjoy it, please hit that like button. This is a new channel that I've just made, and I really appreciate any support like that. And I would love to see your comments on the reading as well. Okay, so I truly wish you guys the best. All right. Okay, bye.